Girls here. Thanks for coming on today's episode. This week, like every week, I'll be talking about natural living and healthy tips that will get you to rethink how you live and what products or habits you can easily change to better your life. So let's get started. Hey, Urban Wisdom fans, welcome to another week. Well, our topic is preparing your book/file/manuscript part 2. This is for you book lovers. You guys, I am back again. You've made it through the first round. And to give you a little refresher, this is what we discussed in part 1 of how to prepare your book/file/manuscript. And you guys, if you want to see it all written out, just go to heatherearls.com/ the same heading, preparing your book/file/manuscript part 1. So first, we talked about traditional publishing. Then we went into self-publishing, indie publishing, and then a mixture of indie and self-publishing. We also went through in part 1 how to prepare your book, files, or manuscript, what to do after you've finished your manuscript, like making a checklist, writing a query letter, researching companies and literary agents, and the last, turning in your project. Now you are at the point where you've turned in your manuscript to several agents. Please note we are talking about traditional publishing at this point. I will cover self-publishing, indie, and a mixture in just a little bit. So turning in your book, files, or manuscript, whatever you want to call them, to 1 or 10 literary agents doesn't cut it, you guys. Unless you have an inside connection or a lot of money, you need to turn your manuscript into at least 100 literary agents or more if you hope to hear something back. Now, I'm not trying to discourage you, but this is the reality since so many people are writing and wanting to be published. I think writing a book is probably on everybody's bucket list at one point or another. So, hearing back from a literary agent. If or when you hear back from an agent, it will likely be a request to see your entire manuscript. Remember, they often do not read your book, file, or manuscript, only your query letter, unless it is the first 3 chapters. But now they are interested, so they will request your entire book. Once the agent has read through it, they will either love it or leave it. If they love it, you may start to talk about signing on with them, or they will ask general questions to see if you are willing to change the title, the name, etc. In short, they want to know if you are willing to work with them, at which point you can either decline or accept their offer. Now, what to do when you get a call? Would you please not act like a moron when you get a call? At least not on the phone. Stay professional and giggle or pop a bottle of champagne after you hang up. There is nothing wrong with being excited. For heaven's sakes, you guys, you have been through the ringer, spent hours upon hours of your time seeing this project through. No. Go ahead and celebrate once your meeting or phone call is over with the agent. So what comes next? Do I accept the offer or not? Well, when you have an offer to sign with a literary agent, take a day and consider if this is the person that you want to work with. No one can make this decision for you. However, it is worth noting that not everyone will even get one response. Your odds of getting a literary agent are 1 in 6,000. That does not mean 1 out of every 6,000 authors who try to get an agent will make it, and the other 5,999 will fail. It means the best book agents can get as many as 1,500 queries per month, and they sometimes only offer to represent approximately 6 new clients per year. Some writer representatives take on more. But for this example, let's use that math. If a literary agent only offers to represent 6 new writers per year, that's 1 every 2 months. Or the odds of getting a literary agent in that scenario are 1 in 3,000. But let's assume in this example the chances of getting a literary agent are less, because we're talking about one of the most powerful or famous literary agents here. In other words, 3 of the 6 authors that the most successful literary agents offer to represent each year are already published with traditional publishers. Those authors might even already have a bestseller or 2, or they might have a very strong author platform. That's why your chances of getting a literary agent are 1 in 6,000. Now, those numbers do not favor the author, so consider the literary agent who has chosen you, but do not get picky, as that could be your only offer. Take a day, decide, celebrate, or keep looking. Now, I've accepted, now what? Now it's time to let the literary agent find you a publisher. They will also look at your book, probably have their team edit and make changes to help move things along, or they will simply start pitching your book, files, or manuscript to the publisher. Remember, literary agents don't get paid unless you land a contract. This is why they are so picky and also eager to find you a publisher. So what if I am self-publishing, going indie, or using a company that has formatting and other services? Well, in the case of self-publishing, indie, or doing something in between, you bypass the waiting stage of having someone choose your book, and you go directly into picking out the company and filling out or getting a quote. Dielines, what are those? You have your quote in hand and agree with a price, or you keep searching for a company until you do. After you choose to move forward from the quote stage, you will either turn in your entire manuscript to a self-publisher, or in the case of indie or in between, you will request dielines from a company. Dielines give the exact measurements you need for the book size you have requested, usually in your quote. Once you have them, you can format your files correctly before sending them in to get a digital proof. Now, I don't want to mess with my files, okay? If that's one of you guys, you just don't want to mess with them. If you don't know what you are doing or simply do not want to waste time, you can request a formatting service that Puff4Print offers or other companies. These services make sure your files have the proper CMYK color. The resolution is 300 dpi, which is recommended for digital printing. Pretty much make it so your files are print ready. A formatting team can also place your ISBN where you wish if you have your own or request one from the company at this time. Ebooks are often formatted at this time too. Although you do not need to have files formatted to get an ebook, you can simply pay like $199 usually through Puff4Print or another company. Either way, your files need to be ready to turn into a print team, so you have the choice to do them yourself or you can ask for a service. Now, what comes next? Approving the files. You are going to go through different stages of approving files depending on which path you choose. There will be edits to review, cover, drafts, etc. with a traditional publisher, but depending on your contract, you may or may not have control over these changes. Self-publishing, indie, or in between, you will. No matter who you choose, the company will ask you to approve each draft, whether it is from the formatting team or the print team. Now, I have approved my book files/manuscript. Now what? Well, a traditional publisher will tell you the next step, but in most cases, they will produce a physical proof to see how it looks with a thickness of page, text, alignment of the spine, color bleeds, etc. For self-publishing, they do not always send out a physical proof unless requested. Indie or in between, I would highly recommend getting one. Most proofs are around $100 shipped to your house, unless you use a Kickstarter campaign or coupon with the company. Now, trust me, it's worth it to get a physical proof. Physical proofs can be used in a photo opt while you are waiting for your large order of books to print. You can also bring your single proof into book or other stores to see if they would like to buy or consign your books once your order comes in. So don't think of this as a waste of time or money. You want to make sure your books are precisely how you want them before spending a large amount of money. Now, once you approve the physical proof, you make your final decision. The proof has been approved, or you send edits back, which the team then applies. In either case, when your file approval is sent, you choose how many books you want, error-free shipping, or in some cases, and then give the company the address to where you would like your books delivered. Now, some companies do split shipping, which you can request a quote, or get a quote, or choose from the original. Once you tell the company, they produce an invoice. And of course, you guys, the shipping all depends on where you're getting. Are you getting your books from overseas as a publishing company there? Is it within your own country? So that all, your shipping is determined based off that. Now, please note that your order will start printing in most cases. It will not, until the invoice has been paid. And that's just good business. So the invoice is paid. Can I celebrate? Once you pay, your books are put in the queue for printing. The company will provide an order number / tracking number so you can sit back, relax, and wait for your books to arrive. Or you can be proactive and go out and get some clients, whether that be a store, online platform, library, museum, etc. Note, for traditional and self-publishing, they provide so many copies complimentary depending on your order size. But if you're doing indie, there's usually no complimentary. Unless, of course, when you have books that come in and they're damaged, a lot of times the companies will say, hey, if 20% of your books are damaged, we'll give you that money back. It usually doesn't cover shipping, but just make sure you're reading things like that when you're choosing a company. Okay, so the end. Congratulations. You have now fulfilled a dream to become an author or just finished your book project. You deserve a big hug for your efforts. I know this took time, money, and perhaps was a tad stressful, but you did it and have gained priceless knowledge. I wish you guys the very best with your dreams and book project, and remember, if you can dream it, you can achieve it. Cheers, you guys. I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Urban Wisdom and Natural Living. Tune in next week where I'll broadcast live every Monday morning at 8 a.m. If you miss it live, hold those tears and head on over to my blog, which is heatherearles.com. That's Heather, EARLES.com. There you can have 24/7 access or right here on iTunes. If you want to follow me on social media, you'll find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Have a healthy week.